Let me describe a memory that you haven't visited in a long time. You were the child who grasped concepts before the teacher even finished the sentence. While other children struggled with the basics, you were reading books meant for adults, solving puzzles that should have been impossible, and hearing that intoxicating phrase over and over again. You are so potential-filled. You are special. School wasn't a challenge, it was a formality. You didn't learn how to study because you never needed to study. Excellence was not something you did, it was simply who you were. It was your default state. But fast forward to today. Look at where you are right now. Maybe you are sitting in a room that is slightly too messy, staring at a screen that is slightly too bright. There is a task you need to do. It is simple. Logically, you know it would take you 15 minutes to complete. An email, a short assignment, a form to fill out. But you have been paralyzed for 3 hours. You are frozen. You are doom scrolling, refreshing pages you don't care about, cleaning a desk that was already clean, doing anything to avoid the terrifying reality of applying yourself. Inside, there is a voice screaming at you. It says, "Why are you so lazy? Why can't you just do it? You used to be the smart one. What happened to you?" You feel like a fraud. You feel like a burnt-out engine that used to be a Ferrari. You suspect that maybe, just maybe, your intelligence was a lie all along. That you peaked at age 12, and everything since then has been a slow, humiliating decline. If your chest tightened while listening to this, if you felt that specific, heavy shame in your stomach, then this video is for you. Because I need you to understand something fundamental. You are not lazy. You are not broken. And most importantly, you are not alone in this paralysis. What you are experiencing is not a moral failure. It is a predictable psychological mechanism known as the gifted kid burnout. And it is the inevitable result of a nervous system that was trained to fear mediocrity more than death. Let's dismantle the accusation first. The world, your parents, your professors, perhaps even your friends, looks at your inactivity and they label it laziness. They see a lack of discipline. They see someone who had everything and threw it away. But they are wrong. And I need you to listen closely, because this is the defense you never knew how to articulate for yourself. What looks like laziness to the outside world is actually self-preservation. You see, for the average child, effort is the path to success. They learn early on that if they try hard, they improve. The feedback loop is healthy. Struggle leads to mastery. But for you, the gifted child, the feedback loop was broken from the start. You were praised for innate ability, not for action. You were told, "You are so smart," not "You worked so hard." This created a cruel paradox. If smart is something you are, then effort is a sign that you are not smart. Think about it. If you have to try hard, it means you don't just get it naturally anymore. It means the magic is gone. So, you developed a subconscious logic, a hidden equation that rules your life. If I try and fail, I prove I am not a genius. I lose my identity. I lose my worth. But if I don't try, if I procrastinate until the night before, if I self-sabotage, Then, even if you fail, you have an excuse. You can say, well, I didn't really study. You get to keep the potential of your intelligence intact, safely protected in a glass case, untouched by the messiness of reality. You aren't lazy. You are terrified. You are suffering from a lack of what psychologists call the skill of effort. No one ever taught you how to be a beginner. No one ever taught you how to sit with the discomfort of not knowing an answer immediately. While others were building the muscle of resilience through small failures, you were gliding on talent. Now, the curriculum of life has finally caught up to your intellect, and you have no muscles to climb the wall. So please, stop hating yourself for this paralysis. Your nervous system is not defective. It is doing exactly what it was trained to do. Protect your ego from the devastating injury of being average. It is a defense mechanism, but it is a defense mechanism that has become a prison. And now that we understand the prison, we can talk about how to pick the lock. To understand why you are stuck, we must leave the realm of modern psychology and enter the domain of the soul. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, identified a specific archetype that haunts the halls of the gifted. He called it the puer aeternus, the eternal child. The puer aeternus is a spirit of immense potential. He is Icarus, flying high above the mundane reality of the earth. He lives in a provisional life. The provisional life. This is the belief that your real life hasn't started yet, that everything you are doing now is just a rehearsal, that one day the curtain will rise and you will finally be the glorious protagonist you were promised to be. But there is a catch. To remain the eternal child, you must never land. You must never commit. Because to commit to one path is to sacrifice all the other infinite possibilities. As a gifted child, you are addicted to potential. Potential is safe. Potential is pure. As long as you don't write that book, it remains a masterpiece in your head. As long as you don't start that project, it remains perfect. But the moment you act, you enter reality. And reality is flawed. Reality is friction. Your burnout is not a lack of energy. It is the grief of the puer aeternus realizing that he must fall to earth. It is the terrifying realization that potential is not enough. Let's decode the hidden variable that governs this system. If we look at your psyche as a mathematical equation, there is a variable we haven't accounted for: the transactional nature of love. Somewhere along the line, you learned a dangerous lesson. You are only as valuable as your last achievement. Your identity became a performance-based self. You didn't just get an A on the test, you were the A. So, when the tasks became harder, or when life became messy, you didn't just face the risk of failure, you faced the risk of ontological annihilation. If you fail, you don't just lose the grade, you cease to exist. You lose the only currency you have to buy love and validation from the world. No wonder you are paralyzed. You are holding a gun to your own head every time you sit down to work. So, where does this leave us? Society tells you to fix this, to buy a planner, to use the Pomodoro technique, to hack your way back to productivity. I tell you, let it burn. The alchemists spoke of a stage in the great work called the nigredo, the blackening. It is the stage of decomposition. Before the base metal can turn into gold, it must first rot. It must be broken down completely. Your burnout is your nigredo. This darkness you feel, it is not a sickness. It is a necessary spiritual event. The gifted kid persona, that fragile, arrogant, terrified mask, needs to die. It must die so that the real human being can be born. You are currently in the ashes. It feels terrible. It feels like depression. But biologically and spiritually, it is a molting process. You are shedding the skin of the smart one so you can grow the skin of the resilient one. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius didn't ask for a life without pain. He asked for the strength to bear it. Your silence right now, your withdrawal from the world, it is not empty. It is a cocoon. You are instinctively retreating to protect this transformation. Do not force yourself to function like a machine when you are being reconstructed as a soul. The pain you feel is the breaking of the shell. It is the only way the light gets in. So, I have a request for you. If you are currently sitting in the ashes of your former potential, if you are in the middle of your own nigredo, do not carry it alone. The comment section below is not just a place for algorithms, it is a sanctuary. I want you to go down there and write one thing: I am currently in the ashes. Or, if you are brave enough, tell us the story of who you used to be and who you are afraid you have become. Let this be the place where you lay down the heavy burden of being the gifted kid. You will find that you are surrounded by thousands of others who are healing from the exact same wound. You are not broken. You are just becoming. Good luck with your transformation.